I want our audience to kind of learn like what music means to artists. And I also want, to educate the audience as well, you guys who are watching, to kind of see how much this means to artists like Dr. Chai, artists like myself, because I'm an artist. That's why we're having this conversation. And also, hopefully, what it means to you guys as well. So I want you to leave a comment down below and tell us what music means to you. But you've told me a lot about what music means to you. But I want you to tell the audience some of the challenges and how you feel about like the current state of music, like just from a commercial money. Let's talk about real facts here.
A couple of things actually, because you mentioned a challenge just before that too. When you're saying, just to go back to something you said, that you feel like artists need to understand the value of their music. And I think one of the challenges that, and this is something I discuss a lot of the time with my friends and with my peers and with my colleagues, with the way that the internet is and the world has become and things are so fragmented, sometimes it's hard to attribute value to your craft, one, when that feedback loop is so broken, where you just told me that you loved Missing You. And I had no idea you even knew that song. But you're like, this is my favorite song of yours, The Vibe.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I maybe put out this song and I'm just like, man, it's just going wow. I hope people like it. Maybe you're seeing the streams and you're seeing the traction. But there's no feedback loop sometimes of like the real impact that your music is having out there on people, especially if you're not necessarily doing shows or maybe someone posts. But I think sometimes it's hard to really quantify and to have a grasp on, okay, those streams that you see, that those are real people, and that there's somebody in London or in Sydney or in Morocco who's actually this music is having the world of an impact on, so I think that's one challenge for sure, because as artists, we're still people, we're still humans, and whilst you create from a selfless place, I think there's something for that affirmation, that encouragement to keep going. It's the same when a performer's on stage and you're seeing the way people are responding. You're getting that initial feedback from like, oh wow, this is responding, people loving this, and then there's that energy exchange, And so online there isn't always that energy exchange that allows you to know like, okay, this is what's taking place, until maybe your artistry hits like a critical mass or certain place where that momentum is spilling over to those places. But sometimes you have fans and a fan base in places where the behaviors, that's not even how they engage with the artistry. Maybe they're just bumping it at home. Maybe they're just on YouTube and just, And so that's one thing. And then I think financially, like most things, I think the music industry is changing so much every day, whether it be because of AI, whether it be because of things to do with Spotify or XYZ, post-COVID and touring. And I think one of the challenges that, artists, the classic artist thing, where you're figuring out what's the best way to monetize your music and the best way to attribute value to that. Because at the end of the day, as human beings, there's also an aspect of it that assigns the value of your artistry as attached to the money you're receiving. And I think that's both healthy and unhealthy, because initially, you create from a passion and from a love, and that's not the reason you do it, but obviously because it's a career,
absolutely,
there is a goal and a monetary thing attached to it. So I think that's balancing that and balancing art and both creative outcome and financial outcome is something that artists will always have to contend with and figure out as time goes by. People always talk about Spotify and rates changing and this changing, and just what's the best place for your artistry to thrive. And I think in my experience, what I'm seeing is in this economy, that's kind of different for everybody. And I personally love Russ. I'm a big fan of Russ, and kind of,
dope.
is a North
Amazing
Star
what he's
for
done.
independent artistry, what some of those things can look like, what, and just a big advocate for just transparency in music in general. And I just think what I learned from Russ a lot about both value attribution and also where to find your North Star for finances in your own artistry is just that it looks very different for each person. And you have to figure out, for some people, it's, I need to go out there and start like getting a fan base based on shows because people love to see me and people love to see me dance and they love to see me connect. For some people, they figured out the social media thing and the content thing. And maybe that's, brands and influencing and I think it's figuring out a puzzle and your own unique puzzle. And I think one of the challenges is that sometimes there's no example to go off. Sometimes there's no blueprint for, if you do grade one, grade two, grade three, you do your degree, then you go get this job. After 3 years, you're in this thing. And artistry is just not linear. Sometimes you wake up and this person went viral. Sometimes it's like this. And it's just figuring out how to navigate that for your career personally. I think that's probably one of the more challenging things.